welcome back. You are listening or watching to the Truth the Hills podcast. I am your host, Ryan Anthony Hernandez, and today we have a very special guest. His name is Junel, aka MagZ, or as some might remember him as Michael Magoni. Uh, I was I was in the community with him for several years. I was able to travel around the Philippines with him, even do some island hopping. He is a great friend, a great brother, and I'm proud to present Junel. Junel, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, thank you for asking, Anthony. And yep, we're finally here in the Philippines, still
Uh,
land of the tropicals.
can you share what region in the Philippines you're at right now?
Right now, I'm in the Queen City of the South, that's Cebu, Philippines. And yeah, that's where I am located, near the beaches here.
All right, Cebu. I lived there for 2 years, and I think you were there with me during my time in Cebu. And like I
Yep.
mentioned earlier, those were good years, but they were also difficult years. And that's why I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to have you here to kind of share also your experiences. So I wanted to start off and giving some context, to the audience, especially those who are hearing this podcast for the first time. We were both in a religious community within the Catholic Church. However, we started seeing the development of things becoming quite culty. And I've shared my opinions, my beliefs on this podcast, but now this is your chance to, share your experience from your perspective. So I wanted to start off and ask you, how is it that you were able to encounter the Alliance of the Holy Family International or Father Bing's movement?
Um, it was when I started my like the mid school year, like the high school. I was second year high school by then, and then they normally have like some sort of program where they catechize or do catechisms in high school as part of their mission. And then I was a student here in Chipolo, and then yeah, they're very they're actually aggressively teaching catechisms there
Mhm.
with composing of nuns and the brothers. Uh, in the team, there are around five or four on that day, and they come to school at least twice in a week to meet the boys and then the girls, so separately. And then I was actually this is the part where I got drawn on those should say times because on those times they appear to be very attractive on in my personal level actually. That's where the first things first. Let's uh, I think it's 3 points during those days. That the background is, yeah, in Cebu we have like this like riots ongoing, gangs, blood scripts, something like
Mhm.
that, and then that's very prevalent in those days. And then on that time I was studying some sort of martial arts. They called it taekwondo, like
Mhm.
some in Korea, Korean
Mhm.
based martial art, taekwondo. And then this there is a brother name was Jeremiah and aka Andre, who normally come to our school. They normally invite students to catechesis or like that. And yeah, on those days, just to protect myself on that time and to get not to get involved in any of those like vices or gang wars. I prefer to join that sort of type of activities. So yeah, that's where it all started.
Okay, so would you say that meeting these brothers that they were a good influence?
Yeah, they are actually good influence. Those two brothers are very, very attractive. They are very lively. Those times they are still lively. I still meet them once in a while. Of course, they're no longer part of the community. Yeah, they are no longer part of the community, but I still have communications with them. They are very lively, and
Uh,
they are very like affable, something like that. Very familiar with them. Yep.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to them in a few years, but from what I remember, like you're saying, they're very lively and very good people. So, you met first the brothers during the catechisms in the high school, but you weren't yet familiar with the Father Bing movement of like the Two Hearts and the retreats and things like that.
No, I'm not. I'm really not familiar with them. Normally, brothers go there. First, the like, I later realized that the strategy on how the recruits is like Don Bosco. So what they do, they normally play with the boys or with us. We normally have games. They join with our activities like sports. They have like these summer sports or summer camp, and that what actually um, trigger us to join them because they are very attractive and they're very athletic. Should I say so? In my mind, being asked, I think what invites me or invites me to join them is that why are they joining? They're young and they're smart, and then they're athletic. Then why give up something just to join? Working with God, something like that. So basically, that's my mindset during those times. So why if they can do it and they can give that up, then why am I not doing it? So something like that. I'm just comparing myself in those times.
So you're making a very interesting point for me because you know in America and maybe even in Australia, the tactics that they use is just the AFI and the retreats and enthronements, and pretty much you're targeting the rich communities because you want to get from the richer class. But in the Philippines, it's totally different because there the approach is going in the schools and playing basketball or teaching. So just totally different. So um, I want to highlight that because many people in America who were involved in with the Two Hearts, they don't know how how the movement was in the Philippines, and those who are in the Philippines sometimes they don't know exactly how it was in America. So I'm very I want to thank you first of all for bringing that up. That's the mission, was to go to the schools and help the poor kids, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that got forgotten because in America we didn't do that. It was just totally different, but it's just something interesting. And I know I'm going on a tangent, so I'll just go to the
No worries.
I'll, I'll just go to the next question. So you're sharing how you got attracted to their way of life. What was it that made you say, I want to join them? Did someone influence you? Did someone talk to you, or did you approach them?
It's actually it's a way when it comes to that. Um, First thing is again, I earlier I talked about joining sports, something like that. So one of these brothers tell me or approached me, and they mentioned, oh, how about uh, first the what they do is they call me and then, oh hey, Junel, how about you come visit us one time? So just come over to our mission house. We call it mission house or like formation house, and then let's play basketball in our formation house. So they do have like a small half court basketball area, and then that's where we usually do the games. So like we play basketball, some baseball, something like that, or tennis. Yeah, sipak takraw, like an Asian game, and then uh, for that after that. we they offer like food, snacks, something like that. So the I'm just going there for the sport actually the last time, and then yeah for camaraderie because again on those times gang wars are very violent. So I want to avoid those things, making sure I'm not part of it because I still need in my mind I still need to graduate, of course.
Yes.
And then yeah because yeah, some gangs are recruiting as well. Same time with the brothers, so I'm also being recruited. So what will happen now? So it's always my point is always where can I be safe, or should I say, what would be the best way in which I can take advantage during those times.
Mhm.
Like so, if you go to gangs, what will be the effect? If you go join this religious activities, will it help you? So normally, what that's what I on my mind. That's how I think during those times. But basically because I'm just high school, I just like playing games and then sport into sports. So that's what happened. And then after that the after I visit once, they already come to me, they approach me, um, and then tell me, oh, how about we visit this weekend, or you can how about you stay for a night, or a night or 2 nights, something like that. And then from there, yeah, it's developed, and then to the point that we stayed there for weeks during those times. So yeah, that's how we got hooked up with the brothers, basically.
Okay. And when was it that you actually joined and said goodbye to your family? Like, what was how was that experience saying? Did you even say goodbye or did you just join?
Um, when during those times, I actually said goodbye. I have a blessing with my parents. That's when after I graduated high school. I am not 18 years old yet. So far as I remember, so I'm around 16, 17. Those is like still
Same as
minor.
me. Same as
Yep,
me.
still
Yeah.
minor, still minor. And by then, yeah, it's a tough time joining the brothers actually because yeah, I know I need to give up my family when it comes to that. I don't even know if I'm seeing them back once again. That's how they promised first, though.
Mhm.
So and then after that, yeah, I they have seminar and they called all the parents
Mhm.
who are joining, and then they tell their names that this is our founder, this is how we do. Basically, that's like the mission statement.
Yeah.
Uh, they call it, and then yeah, our parents are very much aware what they're doing, and then yeah, they actually update them once in a while what happens during the formation. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm my parents myself are not very much they're supportive but not very much supportive. I
Okay.
think they have forecasted what will happen in the future.
So you were 16, 17, and then you joined the community. Uh, how long were you in this community for?
Almost a decade, like 9.5, 9 years,
Did you
nine
leave
years.
before me or the same time?
Um, I'm not pretty much sure because when you leave, we don't see each other for a while. Then,
Yeah.
I left when I after I studied first year in theology. So
Okay.
that's basically it.
Were
That's when I started in UST.
okay.
Yeah, that's Royal and Pontifical University of Santo Tomas
Wow.
in
And
Manila.
did you finish your theology at UST?
Only a year, only a
Okay.
year, and then I left. Yeah.
But what happened to your education at MRC?
Oh, yeah. That's
Well,
yeah.
and real quickly, sorry, but
Yeah.
can you share? I've never brought up MRC, but can you share what MRC is?
So based on because I worked there like a year or so. as a part of the like assistant for the admins, like the office staffs. Normally, what MRC is like, it's Mater Redemptorist College.
Mhm.
There's another one in Laguna. It's called Mater Redemptorist Collegium. So that the ending is different. Um, it's basically like a non-profit like college or vocational college, and then their focus is mainly during those times. It's mainly for the brothers and the sisters. It's for the poor, should I say, or it's created to be only exclusively for the brothers and
Yeah.
sisters. That's supposed to be the main idea, but I think they do have an update this times based on the last time I see them. They're open to have like other students outside the community
Okay.
because of course brothers and sisters are, yeah, it's no
Yeah.
longer that many like before. And I'm not sure if Mater Redemptorist or MRC San Jose is still active because I don't see it anymore, so it might be closed by now.
So it sounds like it's had some updates, some changes, because
Yeah.
when I joined, Father Bing was starting the MRC, the Mater Redemptoris College, but his idea of using it, from what I remember him saying, was he didn't want the seminarians, the nuns, to get a bad educate a new he would say a new age education in the other schools. So he wanted to make an education where we are in control so that we don't get infested. But it
Yeah,
sounds like,
that's true.
is that true? Do you remember stuff like
That's
that?
true. Yeah, 100%. Like hexes, those are the times.
Those were the times.
Infestations.
In
Don't get infested. If you go outside, you're hexed.
those are things that were repeated
Yeah.
for
Oh, so
years.
long. Yeah.
But
I
from
think
what I'm
even now.
even now with Father
Yeah.
Bing, but it sounds like the MRC now that, because so people are aware, Father Bing is no longer in charge of MRC, or is he?
Uh,
Is
that's
he
a hard question,
connected?
actually. Um, I'm not pretty much sure because the Corieso Foundation is still under Father Bing.
Cor
So,
Coriesu
whatever,
Foundation. Interesting.
yeah, whatever um comes out from that foundation is tightly with Father Big. So yeah, they're just one with Father Big.
So very
So
interesting.
pretty much, yeah.
So I don't know if you know the story with my education, because I left high school. I left in the middle of high school, and then I started doing homeschooling as a brother to finish my high school. But Father Bing, I think this is right before MRC started. He was saying that I shouldn't be doing uh the homework for the homeschooling because it's gonna hex and infest me with demons. So I didn't finish. Why are you laughing?
That's what he told us as well.
Yeah. So I didn't finish my high school, and then they sent me to the Philippines, and then I started doing this. I know I'm, s- I'm speaking Tagalog here. We started the philosophy in the MRC, but I remember Father Francis telling us that, look, we have some foreigners who aren't Filipino, and I'm a foreigner who's non-Filipino, and you're saying that the MRC, which has been established, is not internationally accredited. So all of the education you're going to get right now isn't going to count for anything. So I know I finished first year philosophy, second year philosophy. I did the 4 years, and then I even did the other courses. We had classes on, what is that? Patrimony. What else?
Yeah,
We had all these classes, and then at the end,
yeah. There's a lot.
there's a lot, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. It's not accredited international. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
not pretty much sure if it's applied already in our local. accreditation here. But I think it some of that was credited.
Okay, so they've really updated it. So that's good to hear. It's unfair. I mean, for me, I really felt cheated because I did study there for like so long and then it's worth nothing, but my
Yeah,
obedience is just stay here.
yeah. Actually, I pretty much understand the foreigners because I saw them when I studied at UST. Pretty much the studies they went, the courses they've taken before in inside the MRC was actually scratched out from the curriculum or not credited when they applied to a different university,
Mhm.
like the real university. So yep, they start from the scratch. And I think you know one or two of these brothers, right? Or
Yeah.
sisters who studied in the regular university, and yeah, that's basically it. They need to retake some of the subjects. They do like refresher courses,
Yeah.
as what the term, and then yeah, basically they start from the start new, start fresh,
Here,
and those
here
years gone.
it's gone. Those years are gone, and of course, if you say, "Hey, that's not right," they'll say something like, "Why do you lack victimhood? Why are you complaining?" So, quick story. I remember in San Jose, I think it's the CHED, CHED.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Commission on Higher Education.
yeah, they're like a department, and I guess they will accredit a school. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, that's what they do. They usually do the accreditation of these colleges, and they visit them like once or twice a year to for a check.
It's okay. So I'm happy that you mentioned that they checked the school. Because I remember Father Francis telling me, "Okay, amigo," he said, "Amigo, Ched is going to be coming, so they're going to be asking why is there an international student when our school is not accredited." So he tells me, "Just hide, but if they see you, just
Oh,
pretend." He says, "If they see you, just pretend that you're a volunteer helping out." I said, "Okay." So I know. So he's giving them a tour, and then he brings them to me. And so I grab a what do you call that? A walis, a broom, and I'm brooming, and then Father Francis tells the CHED inspectors, "Oh, and here we have our Mexican volunteer. He's our janitor." And I had to pretend that I didn't speak English, and I'm pretending I'm like, "Hola, cómo estás?" And I just felt that
janitor? Seriously?
I mean, I'm the janitor. I'm the
Oh,
Mexican, and I'm not. I'm
wow.
not. I'm not Mexican. But I just found it so. I. I.
No.
In my conscience, I felt, "Is this right?" But then I remember what Father Bing and Father Francis, they always say, the highest law is the salvation of souls. So
Yep. So
so
la madam.
but in my conscience, I feel confused because I know I'm lying, but at the same time, Father Francis gave me obedience to lie.
It's conflict, right? It's a conflict.
It's
And you mentioned about the Salus Anomaron thing as the primordial goal in
mhm.
this whole thing. Yeah, that's not a good option actually. Telling you as a janitor and a Mexican sounds to be racist on my side.
That's
Yes,
what I
sir.
thought. But okay, so I'm
But
I'm ha-
I'm not sure why you're okay with that. But yeah, those are the times.
I at the
Let's
time
moving
I
on.
yeah, I mean I felt that I had to be okay with it, but in the back of my mind, I felt that this was like I'm taking mental notes, and it bothered me because when I left the community, like I said earlier, I hadn't even finished high school. So I came back to America and I showed my credentials. Yeah, I finished MRC. I have a philosophy
Uh,
degree, and they're like, "You don't even have your high school.
no.
Like this doesn't count." So it's like, "Nako."
Yeah.
It's like I did
Yep.
all
Yep.
this, and then it's very
We're,
humbling. I mean,
yeah.
at that time I was
I
almost
cannot
30,
imagine.
and I have to go back. I feel like I don't know. It's just it was it, you know No one deserves that. To leave high school, then they tell you that education is infested, and then they don't give you a real education, and then they throw
Yeah,
you out.
that's yep, that's actually one of the things why left the community.
Can you
Because
share more on how you left?
yep, yeah, that's just one of the points. But
Okay.
do you want to take that now or later on the
Uh,
conversations?
let's continue with the conversations, and then we'll get to
Okay.
the
Yeah,
leaving.
we'll go to
Uh,
that. Yep.
okay, so
There's a lot of points.
going back to your years in the community, um, did you see any red flags along the way? And if so, what were they?
There's a lot actually. Red flags. I know that not all communities are perfect, or no communities is perfect actually. Um, some are better, some are worse, some are in the middle. I think we are in the part we're not yet in the middle, but we're in the between the middle and the worst. On those times, on
Mhm.
those times, things have been improving with the brothers lately, so kudos to them. But those times, there are a lot of red flags actually. Now, when I joined them, basically sports, I'm attracted to sports. There's like higher learning attraction I got. I wanted to learn always. I'm always curious to many things during my high school years. And when I get to the brothers, that's a different story. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, that's a different story. So when I arrive, we are around 60 on my batch, like 60, 70.
16, 16,
No, 60.
members, 60 members. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
60 as postulants, or I'm not sure if 60, but 65. There's a lot. There's a lot. We're a lot. And we stayed uh, for a night at Brother Pius Mission House. Do you still remember that? Yeah,
And
Brother
Tandang
Pius Mission
Sora?
House. Tandang Soraya.
Yes.
Well, you know the long story in Tandang, the red light district.
I don't know
So
about I don't know about that.
so that's the
That's
that's
asking. No, so
side
go ahead. Yeah.
clickbait. So in the Nangsora, the that's the previous mission house they have there. So and then uh, we're 65, and then we from Cebu to Manila. It took we took by boat uh, around the 22 hours travel, and then an hour after that to Tandang Sora.
Mhm.
And we stayed for a night or two, and then we then transported to Nueva Ecija. So that's basically the headquarters during those times.
Real quickly,
So
can you describe Nueva
sure.
Ecija for people who have no idea what that
Okay.
is?
Nueva Ecija is like the central Luzon area. They're normally in uh, in agricultural location, planting rice, onion, and
Mhm.
garlic, and sometimes tomato are the main production products on this particular region. Um, and basically, what is when it comes to the location of the school or the facility, we are in the middle of the fields, or in the fields, like the rice fields. We're in the middle, and yeah, that's where we are located. We have a small building. I think that's a two-story building we have in Nueva Ecija. The last time I remember.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then it's not even finished yet. When we went there, it's not really like the facilities. There are a lot of things that are lacking in Nueva Ecija during those times. So pretty much the rooms are not fully furnished. The construction is still ongoing during those years. Um, yeah, and then we stayed for that, and then we started training on those times. Yeah, they're very very. I'm not saying I'm disappointed on what I see, but uh, looking back now, 10 years before, or years before, way back, living in Nueva Ecija. Uh, yeah, it's been a while. It's not good. Before Nueva Ecija, I remember, my mistake. We went to Laguna first in Calios.
Yes, yes.
Calios, yes. So I think you remember Calios, but we stayed as a postulant in oh yeah, I took postulancy not in Nuevesia, the headquarter, but on, they call it annex, but it's
Sandong
in
Hill
Laguna. Yeah,
or in
Laguna
Cali?
Santo Angel, Santo
Santong
Angel,
Hill.
Santo Angel, and that's before Nueva Ecija. So before my mistake, I
So many locations,
so
so
many
many
places,
places.
so many places, but the headquarters is in Nueva Ecija. But that's what they promised us in so after Cebu, we're supposed to go to Nueva Ecija for the postulancy. I explained that what is Nueva Ecija. So, but instead of Nueva Ecija, they have a change of mind. We need to go to Santo Angel in Laguna because by then it's the what you call um the head formator would be Justin, Father Justin.
Mhm.
He was then a brother when we arrived, then become a deacon. But yeah, very small area. Um, I think it's 300 square meter area, gated community, very small house for 65 students in one
Oh,
place. You cannot go out, and the walls are high. So yeah, what you can do is you just really need to shout if you need to do anything or you want somebody to be informed that
it's a
something's wrong.
cage,
Um, I'm not pretty much
or
sure if it's a
or
cage
or is
because
it more
there's no
like a
sunlight
prison?
there. Hmm. If we base on the cartel movies, basically that's a prison.
Yeah.
Yep. Uh, it's because I there was a time that I need to go up in the roof just to take a breath.
Mhm.
Because it's really, you know, we need, nobody can see us. Yep, that's basically the idea. No one should see us.
That's
And then
in Calles or
Sa- Santo Angel,
in Santong Hill.
in Santo Angel as a postulant, and then um they have like gate, right, and then they put like metal mesh so that no one can see us. So I'm not sure if there's a message there. So that's the red flag that you are saying. The first thing is, why are they covering us?
Mhm.
Yeah, and then if we're religious, why do we feel like being caged?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that would be the first big red flag that I see on my arrival.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's yep.
And that's
So we're like being
interesting that
caged
you
there.
say that. That's so true because well, in my when I first joined and I went to first I from in the Philippines I went straight to Nueva Ecija. And then from what I remember, supposedly the bishop was trying to persecute us according to Father Bing that he was trying to hex us. So
Mm-hmm.
we got kicked out or I don't know and then we moved to Laguna. And then my group the novices were novices then and you were postulant. We moved to Calios.
Calios, yeah,
And
you're the ones in Calios.
then I remember for the first year, like I was saying, I didn't question. I just accepted and
Yeah, that's
believed.
that's what we do.
But like a year or two later, because I stayed there for like excuse me, for like 2 years or something, and we couldn't look outside because, like you're saying, in
Yeah,
Santong
we
Hill, you
cannot.
can't. But I remember telling myself once, my God, I haven't looked at a woman for like 3 years. Uh, it's like, how am I going to, if we are being trained to be priests, it's like, why are we being so isolated? It's like, why can't we see other people?
Yeah, yeah. I'm. That's what I'm. That's that's what my questions are before. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm a missionary or I'm a monk. So during those times.
And so from Santo Angel, what was your next destination?
So next destination from we stayed there for at least a year, 6 months or a year, and then we moved to your location in Calios.
That's right. That's where I met
Right.
Franklin for the first time. Do you remember Franklin?
Yep, yep. We remember. R.I.P. Father Franklin. Yep,
Yeah, may he rest in peace.
yep. Yeah, may he rest in peace. So yeah, we moved there, um, in Calios. Wow, that's a good thing. I see sunlight.
Yeah.
In the gym. Yep, at the floor. Very different in Calios. Because I mean because in Santo Angel it's a tight space. I'm not sure if it's livable for 65 persons, but yeah, we live there. We go out to go to mass. Yeah, that's the only thing you can breath. To go to mass. If ever we visit Calios, not the parish mass, but whenever we visit Calios or take like the vigils,
Mhm.
first Fridays. So we get excited during first Fridays because that's the time we go out.
That's the
We
only
can
time you go out. Once a
That's the
month.
only time we go out, once a month, and then we can speak with other people. Not even speak with other people because we might get hexed speaking with them
Uh-huh.
during those times. Uh, but we see other people like yeah, we see women, we see other children. So yeah, that's the only time we see other people different than us, should I say, or different in how we look to the world. So those are very, very hard times
Yes.
on my life, actually. Yep.
And were you because there's a saying when a member is struggling, or like let's say they want to leave, or they're critically thinking, is this the life I want? Father Bing and the other superiors, they would say that member is in crisis and he needs to be separated. Did you ever
Yeah.
hear that being used?
Oh, I heard a lot of times, thousand times maybe.
Did
Yeah.
they ever use that on
It's
you?
very, yeah. Um, um, for me, I was not really separated with the community, not until I expressed myself that I want to leave. So that's when I started in UST. That's the time when I got separated from the community, separated from the rest. It's just on me. Yeah, it's just on me during those times because when I was postulant, um, I'm very radical. I'm attracted to being radical. I'm not radical per se because I know I have a lot of there are rules that I'm not following because I don't think it's a good thing to follow during those times. I'm not very so that's why maybe that's one of the reasons why I left in the end because there are rules that I cannot comprehend because everyone knows it's not a good rule,
Mhm.
and of course it's not applicable. And I actually, yeah, yeah. Let's go back to the end. But during those times, um, yeah, they are if you got into crisis as the what they coined that, you need to be separated from the rest of the community. You need to have your own prayer time. You need to eat alone, and the hard thing is you actually are required to fast sometimes. It means bread and water. So instead of because on my mind, if you are in crisis, you should be given better than bread and water, right? Like
Mhm.
eat a full meal, for example. But those times are hard. Um, they don't give you that sort of pleasure or benefits. They normally, depending on who's your formator, sometimes you are actually going to be asked to fast, and that's for like a week or so. So yeah, that's yeah.
It's like a punishment.
Um, if I'm because punishment is um, something that's negative, uh, according to my mind. That, but it is actually a punishment.
Mhm. But they don't
I'm
say
not
it like
saying,
that.
yeah, they don't say it as a punishment, but it is a punishment. Um, because if someone listens to this podcast, they need to understand that our mindset inside this religious community is very different than what others would think. So, um, so sometimes not having a meal or two is not a sign of being punished. Sometimes these are told to be like what you call that, an offering
Mhm.
or self-offering. So this hex, this curse will be kicked out from
Yeah.
inside whatever it is inside you. So that's how they term it. But but yeah, basically now yeah, it's a punishment actually,
Okay.
because the gravity um to the victim, or is it okay to say a victim?
Yeah, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. So because you become a victim, it's very harsh. You are in crisis. You're not in your proper disposition, and you are required to fast. So yeah, so that's a mix up.
So
So
talking about crisis, I wanted to ask you, um, what is the definition? What is the definition of crisis from your understanding from back then? What was the definition that they made us understand?
so a crisis can mean so many things outside the community, but inside the community, crisis only mean one thing. Crisis means you wanted to live outside, or you want to be separated from that community. Uh, Normally, there are signs that one person is into crisis. So that's what they usually do. Because I become an assistant during this time as well. So um, what we check is that if this person is praying with the community, so it means do you still remember how or what time do we wake up in the
Mhm.
morning?
In America, we'd wake up at 12:45. I think
Yeah,
I'm not
in
12:45, right?
in yep, in the Philippines we wake up
One
around
30.
1:30, and then we have like an adoration up
No,
until
no, you have to
is
you have to be there at 1:30, but they wake you up
yeah,
at
oh
12:45.
yeah, yeah, that's
That's
correct.
right. You have
So
to be
I'm
there
my mistake.
at 1:30. If you're
Yeah.
late, no breakfast.
No breakfast.
I don't want to miss my breakfast.
Ah,
So
yeah,
I'm always there on time.
yeah, no breakfast. That's it. So it's very, yeah, it's I'm the idea is that based on, because it's very early. So I happen to ask why that early, right? Everyone's still sleeping. It's the middle of the night. So uh, so Father Ming mentioned in one of his uh, internal seminars with the seminarians, that during those times, the Freemasons and the cultists or the Satanists, they also wake up during those times to offer sacrifice to the devil. So to counter that up, we as seminarians should also wake up during those times to offer ourselves to God. So basically, that's the idea behind how early we rise. And I think brothers are only required 4 hours of sleep, 3 to 4 hours of sleep,
Mhm.
right?
That's right.
That yeah, that's how we sleep, right? Because we, besides the adoration and morning, we have our own adoration still
Yeah.
from
Oh,
9 to midnight. So
yeah.
we still need to wake up between those times. So we don't have a good sleep
It's
actually.
bad. It's terrible sleep.
Care about your health.
Mhm.
And later on, the brothers, good thing, Rome take over, and we have these days we have I think updated is that they rise up around uh, 6 6 a.m,
Oh,
6 a.m or
I,
5
I,
a.m.
I left right when the Vatican when Rome and the Vatican was coming in to
Mm,
make changes, and I remember the first change that I remember was They said first thing was get some sleep.
Yeah,
And
that's we need.
but I remember there was like a split because some members were
Split.
like, okay, we'll follow what the Vatican is saying. And then the other members were like, no, Father Bing says that we should do this. So we'll follow Father Bing. And then that's when I left. But I started seeing that some wanted to follow, more peaceful way of life, and others wanted to follow. For me, I think it's a very culty way of just blind obedience to Father Bing.
Yeah, that's actually correct. The we even joked one time uh inside the seminary that they even saying, or I heard one of the priests saying, uh, no one is above the church, or something like that, or no one is above God. So if our reason in doing so is for salus anomarum, the highest law in the church, they coin it, uh, is that if this panelist, should I say, is not doing what God wills, then we'll do it ourselves. So if they are not doing what God's will, so let's do it ourselves. So that then is a red flag on my mind, because in my curious mind, I would say, so we now have the idea on how to think about God, or how God thinks. So yeah, so it's a good thing that you're close to God, but I'm not sure how how God thinks. So yeah, so that's basically my idea those days. So we joke that in the theology department a lot, and yeah, I pretty much I'm laughing during those times. But yeah, that's we did a big split on that idea, and yeah, they're actually they have applied so many ways to counter that up, just to make sure they keep what they do.
And it's funny that you mentioned that how they will rationalize to keep their culty ways, because that's, for me, it's not anymore being religious, it's being culty, where there's this, they want this control. And during my 11 years they would always say, Father Bing especially and Father Francis would always say, obey without delay. If you delay your obedience, you are falling into devil worship or witchcraft. And they would say things like, if you uh things about like, if you don't obey to the letter, and if you don't do the obedience right away, that you're falling into self-will, self-love.
Yeah,
And then,
that's basically true.
but then the church, the bigger picture, Rome was
The bigger
saying,
picture.
hey,
Yep.
you guys are becoming too crazy. You need to calm down, give your
Yep.
members
Yep.
food and
That's
sleep.
true.
And then instead of Father Being following the advice he gives us, because he would tell us, you've taken your vows of obedience, so if you don't obey right away, then you're committing a mortal sin.
Yep.
A-
That's true.
and
That's true.
and then he's doing that where he's falling into his own self will, self-love.
Yeah. So that's where the distinction begins. Because by then we started at UST, and we have a better, should I say, upgraded understanding during those times.
Good, good.
Because what happened is, yeah, it's the term cultic is actually correct, uh, because those ideas are very cultic. But I think the church itself is a cult, right? So
Mhm.
the only thing that it made it very extremely cultic is that if we don't listen to the right authorities, or the church has given authority to interpret the rules of the church. So, because the big picture is, whatever the church says according to morals, and my scriptures and morals, it's always infallible. Especially the Pope is always infallible when it comes to these morals and interpretation of scriptures. Now, um, if this PIC or POCs sent by Rome to investigate us, or to check with us, are authorized, then they're bringing the message of the Pope. And if they said this is like that, If we disobey them, then basically we're disobeying the church in the bigger picture, because who has better authority, Father being or the church, right? So it's always we are going against the church, which is a heavy burden to go against the church. And I really feel bad whenever we do that, because only cults go against the church. So that's it. If you go against the church, you're basically a cult. You're cultic in many ways. Yep. So that's how I understand it before.
And it's very unfortunate because there are people not just in Catholicism but in so many different cults, because I'm engaging with a lot of like Mormons and former Jehovah Witnesses and other groups. And from what I see is that many people who join these cults, they join it for a good reason. It's like, I mean, for you were saying earlier that you didn't want to join the gangs and you saw that they're doing something good. But then
Yeah.
once you entered, it's not what
What
they
do we expect?
presented, not what you
Yep.
expect.
That's the idea versus reality thing.
So
Yep. Very different.
so let me go back because we were talking about crisis and you gave the definition. You said something very interesting. You're saying that the world has their ideas, their definitions for the word crisis. But in the community, crisis means, someone who wants to leave. Now, I want to ask you a different question, but similar. What does the word discernment mean in the world outside, and what does it mean in the community?
Oh, uh, that's a tough question actually. So discernment, um,
Or what should it mean?
yeah, what you doing? So normally when we discern outside, we what we do is we normally think which is which. So which is better, which is good, which is what is the right thing. What is the right thing to take? What we should not take. Um, in and then from there on we decide which one to pursue. But the idea in discerning is that we always, again, there's always the idea that we have the advantage at the end. So that's always the idea of being on me outside the world. So that's how I discern things. For the community, if we during the time when I'm the community, discerning means um, you wanted to commit, you wanted to be a priest, you wanted to stay in this community for a long time. Now, that should be the discernment process. Being a brother is only one way. You're only required to discern to be a priest, to be religious, and yeah, to serve that community in particular. Now, you are not required to discern what will happen, how you will do it, because someone will tell it for you, or someone will ask it for you. You just need to obey. So that's they call it blind obedience.